Hi everyone, it's Miss Sarah, the children's librarian here at the Lewiston Public Library. Welcome to our program today with Songs and Stories with Jennifer Armstrong. Now Jennifer lives and works in Belfast, Maine, so she's not too far away, and she spent her life writing, singing, and making music using the fiddle, the bagpipe, and banjo. Wow! Jennifer is a storyteller, singer, instrumentalist, poet, and published author with humor, warmth, and grace. She was a featured teller at the National Storytelling Festival in 1998 and then again in 2010. She has been heard on NPR and has music recordings and published books to her credit. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited to sing and dance with you. Take it away.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Thank you all for joining, wherever you are out there in the virtual world. Well, I was talking with Sarah right before we started, and I used to come every December to Lewiston to play fiddle for a production of The Christmas Carol, and we were unable to do it this year. Although Christopher Sherriot, the director at the Public Theater, has made some really wonderful videos about the Christmas Carol that you might want to take a look at. They're really fun. You don't hear my fiddling, though, although you see me playing the fiddle. So I was thinking I would start this program with Fiddle in honor of Lewiston's Public Theater. Let me just grab it. So here is the fiddle. Now, some of you might be saying to yourselves, well, that looks like a violin. And you'd be right. This is both a violin and a fiddle. There's two different names for it because when the instrument was first developed in Europe way back, there was a whole family of instruments called the viol family, V-I-O-L, which is where we get the name violin, viola, violoncello, and violin bass. And there was also an instrument called a fiddle, F-I-D-E-L, which had just 3 strings. But the name sort of was kept. So some people call the violin a fiddle. Now you tend to call it a violin if you play classical music, if you play in an orchestra. And you mostly call it a fiddle if you play for dances, which is what I do. So I'm a folk fiddle player. Or you might call it a fiddle if you are a grasshopper. So there's a lot of wonderful books in the library, I'm sure you can find, of the ant and the grasshopper and how the ants are very busy working to store away food for the winter, and the grasshopper is playing his fiddle. Now, I'd just like to point out that some grasshopper fiddle players play their fiddle for work. So we need a new version of the ant and the grasshopper, but I'm still working on that. So here are some fiddle tunes for your listening and dancing pleasure. If you would like to get up and dance around your room, please feel free. Here's a couple of jigs for you. So two jigs, two Irish jigs called Off She Goes and Smash the Windows. Now this year is the 200th anniversary of Maine being a state. So it's been a lot has happened this year of 2020, but one thing is to commemorate this great state of Maine and the settlers to Maine. There were a lot of Scotch-Irish who came to settle 300 years ago, actually. I think they came in 17, 18, 19, and 20. And they were Scots people who had traveled to settle in the north of Ireland. And so that's why they were called the Scots-Irish. And they came from Ulster over to Maine. And many of them were given lands up in Aroostook County, and they brought potatoes with them. So there's some wonderful books, again, about potato growing up in Maine you might look for. And if you haven't ever seen the potato fields, it's an amazing sight. Potatoes in bloom are just stunning. It's so, so beautiful. So thank you to our Scotch-Irish ancestors who settled here in Maine and brought the potato. I'd like to try for you a little potato song that Cheryl Wheeler has sung. It's just the word potato, sung to the tune of the Mexican hat dance. And I was practicing it in the car today. Let me see if I've gotten it right. So, potato, 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 potato. So there's the potato song from Cheryl Wheeler. Well, I heard Harper, right before this program started, say that Sarah was not from Maine. So those of us who are not from Maine are considered that we are from away. Now, I've been in Maine 20 years now, and I asked some friends when I first moved here, how long am I from away? And my friend said, well, till the last person who knows where you're from is dead. So there you have it, from away. Now my partner always says that she got here as soon as she could from the Midwest, which is where I am from as well. And there's some classic books about people coming to Maine, or, well, I'm not sure. There's Miss Rumphius. I think Miss Rumphius might have been born in Maine. Barbara Cooney's very famous book, Miss Rumphius, is kind of what brought me to the state of Maine. I wanted to live in a place that had the feel of that water and the green hills and what does she plant? Do you remember? What is she called? The Lupin Lady. So I've written a song called The Lupin Lady, which talks about this book, Miss Rumphius, by Barbara Cooney. I'm just going to grab my guitar now. Now, I always like to have people sing along. I'm sorry I won't be able to hear you singing along. I can't even see you singing along, but we will do what we can. Here, let me see if you can see a little more of the instrument here. The chorus says, Lupin Lady, living her life so beautifully, planting her flowers all over the hillsides and all the way down to the sea. So like all good choruses, they come around again and again, giving you plenty of chances to join in. The other thing you can always do, it's been said, that if you don't know the words, you can just say, watermelon, watermelon, watermelon. And your mouth sort of moves in a lot of different ways, and it looks like you know the song. So if you want to sing just watermelon, you're welcome to do that too. Or you can sing Lupin Lady, living your life so beautifully, planting your flowers all over the hillsides and all the way down to the sea. Here we go. Lupin Lady, living her life so beautifully, planting her flowers all over the hillsides and all the way down to the sea. Fabulous. She said to her grandfather, perched on his knee, I'll travel the world and come live by the sea. Those are good things to do, but there is a third. You must bring some beauty to this world. Lupin Lady, living her life so beautifully, planting her flowers all over the hillsides and all the way down to the sea. She saw deserts and jungles and snow-covered peaks, rode camels, ate coconuts, heard monkeys shriek, and she said to the good friends she made when they'd part, you will always remain in my heart. Lupin Lady, living her life so beautifully, planting her flowers all over the hillsides and all the way down to the sea. She came home to Maine to live by the sea, didn't know what her beauty would be, till bright blooming lupin delighted her eye. I will plant some beauty for this world. Lupin Lady, living her life so beautifully, planting her flowers all over the hillsides and all the way down to the sea. She said to her granddaughter, perched on her knee, yes, travel the world, then come live by the sea. Those are good things to do, but there is a third. You must bring some beauty to this world. Lupin Lady, living her life so beautifully, planting her flowers all over the hillsides, all the way down to the sea. One more chorus. Lupin Lady, living her life so beautifully, planting her flowers all over the hillsides and all the way down to the sea. Yes, what will our beauty be in the world? It's a very important question. One that I always think about in sort of in a renewing sort of way every New Year's, which of course is coming up the end of this week. 2021 we will welcome in. And what is the beauty we're sharing? What is our gift to the world? Now certainly I believe that music and poetry are fabulous gifts to the world. And one of my books is called The Poet's Basket. And there's, in fact, a main potato basket is this poet's basket. And it's the story of a young girl whose writing mentor is her grandmother. And how fortunate many of us are to have family members who are mentors, who are inspirations to us. Or people in the community that you really look up to and admire. It's wonderful to think about those people and thank them for the gifts they are giving you to help you become more of who you want to be. So the Poet's Basket is a story of this little girl whose grandmother is a writer and tells her the different things she needs to be a writer, to be a poet. You need a basket to put your notebook and your pens in. You need snacks. You always need snacks. You know, carrots and apples to keep up your strength as you're writing and looking for ideas. And to write from what you know, to write about your own experiences and what you love, what you notice in the world. So she writes about a night when they had to canoe home because the river had risen so much. And that actually happened to me. My daughters laugh about this little book because I am both the granddaughter and the grandmother in this book. The granddaughter lives down on the Chattahoochee River in Georgia, and the grandmother lives on the Passagasawakeg River here in Maine. And I have lived on both those rivers, which I feel very fortunate to have lived on rivers. So I'm going to sing you the song from the end of this Poet's Basket book. Um, again, there's the main potato basket. So the Poet's Basket song also has a chorus that you can sing along on. And it says, let's see, I think I'll play it on the banjo. Now I have to say something about these instruments. The guitar is probably one that you're very familiar with. Most rock and roll bands and play electric guitars, which means it's a flat-bodied, solid-bodied instrument, and it's plugged in to make a sound. When you have one that's not plugged in, it's called an acoustic guitar, meaning it makes its own sound, it makes its own volume. So I don't need to plug this in for you to be able to hear the sounds. So the guitar has 6 strings and was developed in Spain. That's the origins of our modern guitar, or from Spain. Now the banjo has only 5 strings. I play the 5-string frailing or old-time banjo, and it has its roots in West Africa. I'm just going to go grab the banjo. So the banjo is considered an African American instrument because it came from West Africa, and it had a drone string. If you notice, you can see that there's 4 pegs down here, and then there's a peg way up here, halfway up the banjo neck. That's this string, and it's going to always ring out on that high droning note above whatever else I'm playing. And that's what came from West Africa, this drone string. But it had only 2 or 3 maybe long melody strings. And over here in this country, the 4th melody string was added, which makes the banjo a little bit more like the guitar, with a drone string. So, a little bit of information about the 5-string banjo. I've got my poet's basket. I've got my poet's basket. I've got my basket. I've got my basket. It's a tool of the trade for a poet. So that's the whole chorus. Sing along. Well, I've got a notebook in my basket. I've got a notebook in my basket. I've got a notebook. I've got a notebook. It's a tool of the trade for a poet. I actually don't sing the whole chorus between each verse, but I always sing it's a tool of the trade for a poet. So please jump in on that. I've got a pencil in my basket. I've got a pencil in my basket. I've got a pencil. I've got a pencil. It's a tool of the trade for a poet. Well, I've got snacks in my basket. I've got snacks in my basket. I've got snacks, oh I have got snacks. It's a tool of the trade for a poet. Well, I've got my grandma in my basket. My grandma doesn't fit in my basket. I love my grandma. I love my grandma. She's a tool of the trade for a poet. Well, I've got my poet's basket. I've got my poet's basket. I've got my basket. I've got my basket. It's a tool of the trade for a poet. A tool of the trade for a poet. It's a tool of the trade for a poet. Thank you. There's a school over in Waterville that always uses my Poet's Basket book when they start their poetry unit every April. Which I'm very honored for, that they share some of the the ways of how to write poetry from this book. But I'll play you a little bit of something else on the banjo so you can hear a little more of how this instrument works. There's two kinds of banjos. There's this open back, old-time banjo, and then some banjos have what's called a resonator. So it's a big metal part on the back which helps to create a bigger sound. So it resonates more. That's why it's called the resonator. And bluegrass banjo players play with that heavier banjo that makes it a little bit louder, a little cleaner sound. But the old-time frailing banjo is a little softer sound. But I'll play you the first song I ever learned. I learned this from Michael Cooney, who lives down in Friendship, Maine. He taught me this back when I was 12 years old, and it's called Sandy River Bell. Bit on the frailing banjo. Well, thank you again for joining me. See, I've got another couple books I'd like to share with you. This one, Blueberries for Sal. I hope some of you got to pick berries this summer. We picked a lot of blackberries and raspberries. We didn't rake blueberries, but we did get some. Wouldn't be a Maine summer without having some blueberries. Now, Michigan, I think, is the blueberry capital now, and it used to be the panhandle of Florida, but Maine is certainly up there as a blueberry producing state. Now this chorus, so I wrote a little song for Blueberries for Sale. So we can get a lot of the blueberries going. Blueberries, blueberries for sale. Blueberries, blueberries for a bear. So that's the chorus. You kind of get two choruses on this one. There's the whole chorus, and then you get a little chorus line in the verses after each line I sing. So you can sing plenty of blueberries. Want to try that? Blueberries. Here we go. Blueberries, blueberries for sale. Blueberries, blueberries for a bear. Berries in a pail, ka-plink, ka-plink, ka-plunk. Blueberries for sale. Berries in a mouth, grump, grump. Blueberries for a bear. It's blueberries, blueberries for sale. Blueberries, blueberries for a bear. Well, picking blueberries to store for winter. Blueberries blueberries for Sal, and eating blueberries to store for the winter. Blueberries for a bear. It's blueberries, blueberries for Sal. Blueberries, blueberries for a bear. Ka-blink, ka-blink, ka-blink. Blueberries for Sal. Grump, grump. Blueberries for a bear. It's blueberries, blueberries for Sal. Blueberries, blueberries for a bear. Picking and eating on Blueberry Hill. Blueberries for Sal. All mixed up on Blueberry Hill. Blueberries for a bear. Last chance. Blueberries, blueberries for Sal. Blueberries, it's blueberries for a bear. It's blueberries for a bear. It's blueberries for a bear and Sal. What a wealthy state we are with blueberries and potatoes and lobster and apples and so many. We're one of the most small family farms in the country are here in Maine, which I think is a wonderful thing that we are doing this second wave of back to the land and tending our earth, which is so important. And I'm a great believer in anything is possible. So yes, we can reclaim the land. We can work with global warming. We can do it. Anything is possible. So this little book was my second children's picture book, and was illustrated by a wonderful woman named Peggy Lipschutz. This is her picture of herself. She passed away at age of 100, just shy of her 101st birthday. And she did this book when she was in her 80s with me. Anything is possible. And again, it has a song at the end of the book, because my mother always sang me lullabies at bedtime, and I believe in lullabies as being a really, really important part of childhood, is to be sung to sleep. And if you haven't been singing your children to sleep or didn't get sung to sleep yourself, you might want to start exploring that. It's just such a soothing and important time to drift off to safety in sleep, to a lullaby. I did a lullaby project a number of years ago where I collected lullabies all around the state of Maine and discovered how many languages are actually spoken in our state. We are a fairly white state, mostly speaking English here, and French, English and French, but there's also people from Somalia, and from Thailand, and from Germany, and the Czech Republic, and so it was really wonderful to collect lullabies and from a lot of different places. Anyway, this lullaby that's in the Anything is Possible book, my mom used to sing to me, and she would put my name in it. So while in the book it's about Sylvie, when growing up it was always about Jenny, and my mother would sing everything I'd done that day, like Jenny did a concert, Jenny did a concert today on Zoom. Oh yes, Jenny had a good day. Oh yes, Jenny had a good day. Oh yes, Jenny had a good day. Anything is possible. So it was a wonderful way to sing your own child's name in the song and sing through what you've done that day. It's a very tender thing to do. I will sing you what's in the book, however, about Sylvie. And what Sylvie does is she wears stripes, and sometimes she wears all red from head to toe, and she checks the mail, all the fun things that are in the mailbox. Now that's a funny thing. You know, when you start writing a book, you have a certain idea for it. My idea for this book was initially called The Mailbox Fairy. And it was all about the mailbox and what you can find in it. And then it just became part of this story that is what actually ended up being published. So it's a very interesting thing about how you might think you're writing one thing and it turns into something else, because anything is possible. So Sylvie loves to listen to stories on her mama's lap, and she loves to draw when her mom gets her brand new sheets of paper, and she likes to be sung to sleep. There she is, her mama singing her to sleep. So again, please sing along on whatever parts you want to come sing along on. Oh, Sylvie wore a red dress, a red dress, a red dress. Sylvie wore a red dress all day long. Sylvie did some cartwheels, cartwheels, cartwheels. Sylvie did some cartwheels when she woke up. Oh, yes, Sylvie had a good day. Oh, yes, Sylvie had a good day. Oh, yes, Sylvie had a good day. Anything is possible. Sylvie checked the mailbox, the mailbox, the mailbox. Sylvie checked the mailbox and found a shell. Sylvie made up stories, stories, stories. Sylvie made up stories of kings and crowns. Oh, yes, Sylvie had a good day. Oh, yes, Sylvie had a good day. Oh, yes, Sylvie had a good day, for anything is possible. Sylvie drew a picture, a picture, a picture. Sylvie drew a picture of a rainbow bird. Sylvie drew a deep breath, a deep breath, a deep breath. Sylvie drew a deep breath and fell asleep. Oh, yes, Sylvie had a good day. Oh, yes, Sylvie had a good day. Oh, yes, Sylvie had a good day, for anything is possible. Yes, anything is possible. And that is the book, Anything is Possible. I have a CD out called Dancing and Dreaming, and half of it is lullabies, and half of it is fiddle tunes. And I'm thinking that now that I've settled you all down, I should wake you back up and play you a fiddle tune, which is also the world famous sit down square dance. So from wherever you are seated, you can reach out your hands and imagine that you've joined hands with all of your friends and family all around the country and around the world, which is a great thing to do in these virtual concerts. We can just join hands with everybody in our imagination, and then you're going to listen for the dance calls, and I'll call you a little sit-down square dance. Grab the fiddle. All join hands and lean to the left. And come on back. Lean left. And come on back. Go into the middle. And right back out. And to the middle, a little bitty shout. Now clap your hands way up high above your heads. Clap your hands. All join hands and lean left. Come back to the right. Lean left. And come on back. Go into the middle. And right back out. And to the middle. And clap your hands way up high. Clap your hands on your knees. All join thank the band. That's it. That's all. Good dancing. Thank you. Well, I talked about the Scotch-Irish coming over to Maine and bringing potatoes. I suspect they also brought the bagpipe. Now here we are in Belfast, Maine, which is, well, the legend goes that it was named Belfast by the flip of a coin, but I don't know. But certainly there's a Belfast, Ireland as well, which must have been close to where the Scotch-Irish came from, over in Northern Ireland. So here they came with their potatoes and bagpipes. So I'd like to finish up this little concert with the bagpipe. Now my father played the Scottish bagpipe. The Armstrong clan was a border clan between England and Scotland. They were in the Cheviot Hills. There were the Armstrongs. So my father was very interested in all things Scottish. His father had come to this country from northern England. So I started playing bagpipe when I was 13. And I have a half-size bagpipe, which are called the parlor pipes, sometimes called kitchen pipes. And that's what I'll play for you today. I'll show you a little bit about how they work, and then I'll play a tune. There's a bag with pipes tied into it. There's a chanter, which is your melody pipe, a blowpipe that fills the bag with air, and drone pipes that hum a steady note it's a simple kind of harmony. A drone is the first kind of simple harmonies that were developed. Now this corduroy bag is just a cover for the bag that holds the air, which is made out of a synthetic Gore-Tex or something. So here I go. I'm going to blow air into the bag. Lovely. And then the air pushes through the reeds. So in all the pipes, in the chanter and the drone pipes, there's a reed. It has plastic drone reeds in this little bagpipe. The big size of bagpipe has cane reeds, but plastic reeds work quite well in the kitchen pipes. And here's how it sounds with just the chanter. So once you have the bag full of air, the bag can push air through the chanter reed as well as the drone reeds, and you can get all these pipes to sound at once without sticking a whole bunch of pipes in your mouth, right? They're tied into a bag, and you're just blowing air into the bag. So here's a tune I played earlier today for my grandson, who is 3 years old today and lives out in Colorado, and I played him Happy Birthday on the pipes. So there's Happy Birthday to River. Happy Birthday also happens to be one of what we pipers call the Big Five. The 5 most played bagpipe tunes. Here's a second one of the most played bagpipe tunes. You could sing on this one if you'd like. There you go. Jingle Bells, second of the Big Five. Also, Scotland the Brave, which is sort of the, well, it's not the national anthem of Scotland, but it is a very well-known bagpipe tune that dum dum da dee da dum da dee dum da dee da da dum. Probably if you've heard a bagpipe band at a parade, you will have heard Scotland the Brave. And then Amazing Grace made it to the top 10 radio, played by the Black Watch Bagpipe Band back in the 60s, and that has become a very famous Scottish a tune to play on the Scottish bagpipe. And then, of course, a song that is played every New Year's Eve, Auld Lang Syne, traditional Scottish New Year's song. And traditionally, in Scotland, you would take hands across like this, and you'd say, "Gie us a hand, my trusty fear, I'll gie a hand o' mine, and we'll tak a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne." So it's, give me your hand, my trusted friend, and I'll give you my hand as well, and we'll take a sip of whiskey, which is a reet good willy wat, which is in one of the versions, which I rather like. We'll tak a reet good willy wat for Auld Lang Syne. So if you would like to, stand up and take hands crosswise with your imaginary friends around the world. I will do a little medley. I will play Amazing Grace and then Auld Lang Syne to go out with. And I want to thank you so much for having me come do this virtual concert through the Lewiston Library. I very much appreciate it. Thank you to Sarah and Harper and Ivy. Again, I'm Jennifer Armstrong, and if you want to find more of my music, I have a website under my name, jenniferarmstrong.com. I also have a platform on something called Patreon, which is spelled Patreon. It's a platform for artists to get monthly support from fans such as yourselves who want to see this work continue in the world, music and stories to change the world. So there's all sorts of wonderful creators on Patreon, and I have a page there as well. So here we go with Amazing Grace and Auld Lang Syne. And again, thank you so much. Thank you. Happy New Year.